Hi guys, welcome to RetroCade. The first-person shooter genre always comes with a ton of variety, whether you desire more story or more gunplay action, and the Nintendo Switch has a lot of that in store. So we have decided to make a video about the 10 best first-person shooter games for Nintendo Switch. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to not miss our new videos. Originally released in 2013, Call of Juarez Gunslinger is a Western-themed shooter framed around a bounty hunter's stories, as he recounts his missions to take down some of history's most infamous outlaws. Despite being roughly a decade old, Techland's game has aged rather well thanks to its stylized visuals and simple but effective gameplay. Although not featuring an especially huge arsenal of weapons, Gunslinger's chosen guns generally feel good to use, particularly the sawed-off shotgun and quick shooter. The gunplay has an arcade feel to it, with the campaign guiding players down a fixed path akin to a shooting gallery. While this gets repetitive on occasion, Gunslinger makes up for it by maintaining a very quick pace. Quite a few of the chapters also end with Mexican standoffs, some of which are genuinely intense.
As fast as he was, I was just a bit faster.
It's a murder party starring me!
Gaming's beloved action hero is back on Nintendo Switch, though not in his own game, but as an addition to the 2011 FPS title Bulletstorm. With this version, you have the option of playing the game entirely as Duke Nukem, instead of Grayson Hunt, with the original voice actor reprising the role. The world of Bulletstorm looks better than ever in the Duke of Switch edition, with its scenic environments and the gunplay where you can juggle enemies and perform unique kills with the skillshot system. And if the gameplay and weapons seem somewhat familiar, that's because it's an FPS venture from Epic and People Can Fly, developers of the first Gears of War and Judgment.
Faster, hard. Tell them about today's special, Bucky!
I'm not even supposed to be here!
Borderlands is not only a phenomenal FPS series, but also one of the best sci-fi games available on Nintendo Switch, where you fight the greediest of corporations alongside well-developed and often hilarious characters. And this collection has in store the original game, Borderlands 2, and the pre-sequel. Aside from the humor, its main highlights are looter-shooter RPG systems, and an original visual style not seen in any other games of this genre. The sequel game also delivers one of gaming's most notorious villains, the CEO Handsome Jack, whose heterochromia is probably the most innocent thing about him.
My city will thrive, and
the BioShock games are set in alternate historical timelines, showcasing ambient dystopian worlds, and this collection includes all three in remastered form. The first two in the series cover an underwater city known as Rapture, which isn't as wondrous as it may first appear, and you soon find out it's home to some uniquely horrifying enemies, destroying it from the inside out. BioShock Infinite takes place in the air rather than below the sea and takes you to the floating civilization of Columbia. It has deep-rooted problems of its own, and you'll need the help of a companion to escape. Aside from the classic FPS weapons, you also have enhanced abilities called Plasmids and Vigors, which can shock and burn an enemy or two.
Over there! Get the girl!
Run, Elizabeth!
Get away from me! Let me go!
Prodeus is oddly relaxing. Just to be clear, the retro-style shooter barely gives the player a moment's rest as they rampage through missions filled with pixelated enemies who are not pushovers. However, the game's structure, level design, and short but still substantial missions lend themselves well to quick play sessions driven by a player's desire to unwind while blasting monsters in the face. Even though it has a minimalist story that builds quite well throughout the campaign, Prodeus has a pick-up-and-play quality that makes it an easy recommendation. One of the game's more controversial design choices is its progression system, which requires players to unlock moves like a dash, and the process will take a few hours. This decision ensures the gameplay is periodically revitalized with a game-changing mechanic. Conversely, it does force players to repeat levels since certain collectibles can only be reached once these abilities are Another retro boomer shooter, Dusk would have fallen through the cracks if it was not absolutely incredible. Dusk is the best FPS game on the Switch since it plays very well on the console and does not come with an obvious downgrade. Beyond performance, there is just a lot to adore in this package, and a nostalgic love for blood is not required to appreciate this modern gem. Utilizing a horror aesthetic, Dusk is split into 3 episodes, all of which craft unique atmospheres that make them exciting in their own right. The gunplay is fast-paced, responsive, and gratifying, and it has just enough nuance to introduce a learning curve. If someone can only pick up one Switch FPS, Dusk should be it. Despite being a sequel to Wolfenstein: The New Order, which is unfortunately unavailable on the Switch, playing the first game isn't really necessary for players to get a grip on what's going on in the plotline, which follows BJ Blazkowicz as he links up with various freedom fighters to start a revolution with the goal of toppling the Nazi regime once and for all. In terms of gameplay, it's pretty much what one would expect from a Wolfenstein title, wrapped up in stunning graphics that push the Switch's hardware to its very limits.
Nothing but a usurper.
Considered by many to be the most impressive port on the Nintendo Switch, Doom Eternal serves as an example of just how much can be done on a system with such limited hardware capabilities. The game runs at a steady 30 frames per second throughout the entire campaign, and doesn't limit the experience in any way compared to the PC and console releases, aside from the downscaled graphics. The Switch version of Doom Eternal also includes the gyroscopic control option for aiming, which is certainly a welcome addition for all those preferring to play in handheld mode. Gameplay-wise, it's classic Doom action, fast-paced encounters with dozens of monsters rushing at the player from all sides, tons of gore, and a heavy metal soundtrack to boot.
Engaged. The Seth tore us down at the Lingshan.
The Crysis games, especially the first one, are most often associated with their gorgeous graphics. Back in 2007, the first game in the franchise was relentlessly memed about because of its high system requirements and the fact that even the most advanced of PCs struggled with running the title smoothly. Today, players can enjoy the entire Crysis trilogy on the go, as it was released on the Switch in 2021. Each one of the titles looks gorgeous, but there is much more to Crysis games than the graphics. All of them encourage players to take unique approaches to each encounter and experiment with their protagonists' advanced nanosuit technology to find the best playstyle for themselves.
You and me, Marine, we don't get to die just yet. We gotta go back.
Metroid Prime is considered to be one of the best games of all time. The much-anticipated remaster of the very first 3D Metroid game was released without any prior promotional activity during a Nintendo Direct event in January 2023, and turned out to be just as good as the original, if not better. Aside from updated graphics, Metroid Prime Remastered has introduced some quality-of-life improvements to the classic game, such as gyroscopic aiming, a modern control scheme, and a variety of other customization options. Players who never got the chance to experience the original should definitely consider giving this one a shot.